I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to our live episode.
Oh my god!
That's right, everybody. Due to some technical difficulties during the week, Greg and I are sitting here. We're going to do this show. It's not live, I know, but we're not doing intros. We're not doing outros. We're not putting it together and editing. We're running this thing, and we're just going to kind of wing it, I guess, because we ran out of ideas once the technical difficulties hit, and we tried to fix them, and we couldn't, and we tried, and we couldn't, and here we are. Episode 37. Yes, episode 37 is going to be just a collection of stories from us. You guys have heard it before. We've done it once before, I think, where we didn't do serial killers. So, welcome. Hey, Greg, thanks for joining me on short notice for a special episode 37.
Fucking happy to be here.
And I'm happy to have you. And never will I forget that theme song. All right, buddy? All right?
Cool, man. I've been watching a fucking bunch of X-Files.
I know.
Enough that it's been influencing my dreams.
You told me about the PUBG X-Files stream, so...
Yeah, I forgot about that. I've had a couple of them. So
we're hitting some strong points here. So, essentially today, I brought one thing. Greg brought a few things. One of them is kind of near and dear to both of our hearts, so I'm excited to hear about it. Really, I kind of wanted to do like a state of the show. And I think I said it's episode 37. It's episode 38, but fuck it, we're doing it live. We're not going back.
Can't go back.
Can't go back now. No edits. So I just wanted to kind of do a state of the show, and it's been almost a year now. I think we're in the 11th month.
Show's good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Show's good. We're out of here. What are you, Brett? So it's going to be a little different. Essentially, I just wanted to talk a little bit about where we're headed, kind of some hopes and dreams. Greg, again, brought two stories. He's going to tell us, one of them's a great mystery. One's near and dear to our heart. But, the show it's had ups, it's had downs. When I started, we had no fucking idea what we were doing. Now here we are 10 and a half months later, and I still have no fucking idea what I'm doing. So for everybody who's supported and reached out and said nice things to myself or producer / co-host Greg.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, you got a couple. I just try not to bring them all so your head doesn't get too big. I keep them in the bank and just give them to you when you deserve them, when you earn them.
Tell you what, if you want to just get at me directly so it doesn't have to get filtered through a middleman, you just find me at Hella Greg anywhere. Just pick it and try at Hella Greg. It's either me or this Asian guy that I saw one time that had the same username.
So there you go. If you guys want to stop, I use them as a reward system for him though. So if you want to keep sending them to me, it's only helping in curb his bad behavior and keeping it nice. So
encourage it.
Seriously, from the bottom of and I'm sure Greg's heart, I don't want to speak for him, but I know we're seriously flattered by some of the things that people say and some of the support they give. Greg's shaking his head no, but I was nowhere near. We live 100 miles apart, and I could see him blushing the last time I sent him was a compliment that someone sent out to him. So
that was very nice, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, seriously, people reach out and they tell me how kick-ass my mom has been on a few episodes, which she's going to be on next week again, everybody. So episode 39 will be with Shy. Boom.
Hashtag bring back Shy. Get it trending, people.
Yes, get it trending, people. No, but honestly, it's been overwhelming because Greg will back me up on this. We did a show before this, and it wasn't overwhelmingly popular. Not that this is, but we put this show up a week early because sometimes throwing it up on iTunes it'll take forever. I think it took Anxious Extroverts 10 days to get there. So it took one day, so we didn't want to launch early. We just kept doing the countdown to the show, but I think people went and checked on it, and it was there. The episode was there. So by the time we launched, we had 1,000 downloads, and it was I don't know, it was mind blowing to us, and it was not a good sounding show. I've left it up for posterity. I don't want to have episode 1 and 2 missing, so I've just left them there, which I know is a roll of the dice probably, but
Whatever. It's good. It's
That's what
good
I'm
that
saying.
it's that the worst ones are right out there in front, because people will look and they'll be like, well, this first episode sucked, but they'll listen to the most recent one and be like, this most recent episode sucked, but it's not as bad as the first episode.
Well, to combat we've only really had one shithead come at us, and we don't need to really talk about it, but like we handled it amicably, so I don't want to get too I don't want to be too high schooly about it right now, but someone even came to our defense, and in defending us, we're like, hey, for sure the show was rocky to start, but it's, the content was there and they figured out the technical issues, and I can see where things, so, like I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it. I appreciate everybody coming out. Even the people who didn't have the most positive reviews, but were in some way constructive. Greg and I appreciate it. We see all of those. That if you've reached out to us, we've probably reached back out to you. That's been kind of our MO since the beginning. That was like what Greg and I talked about, was like we want to just be constantly engaged. We may not always be posting something on any of the social medias or anything like that, but if there's a comment, we try to reply. If there's a message, for sure we try to reply. If there's emails, and there's a few calls and texts that come to the voicemail and text line, 805-666-2513, and it's not overwhelming. That's a bad choice of words. I was going to use overwhelming. It's like,
it's very cool to see.
It's very cool to see, and it's overwhelming, not in that it can't
in the
be
emotional
handled.
sense. It makes us feel nice.
It makes us feel nice. It makes us feel like, holy shit, like there's people out there that care about and understand and know the hard work we put into it. So, state of the show, awesome. Thank you guys. We're going to take a break at episode 60, just like we did at the end of episode 30. We're going to do a little season break. It'll probably just be a month. Greg and I are going to get our bearings about us and come back with a season 3 that's extra fucking badass. We have a camping trip planned for sometime in the summer, so we're going to record 1 or 2 episodes out in the wilderness. That should be fun. Greg's got some ideas, so we may be heading to the Central Coast to join Hella Greg in a campsite of his choice and put down a few episodes with some of your favorite guests. So some of the
while we hunt UFOs,
right? That there's ulterior motives to the trip.
I said I want to go camping, and Jesse said, "Why?" And I said, "I want to hunt UFOs." And he said, "I bet I could get some guys. When do you want to do it?" And I said, "Let's talk about that later. You get the guys first." So
the guys,
things are in the works.
The guys have been got. So we're doing a camping show. Not too long from now. I think, Greg, what did you say? 50 days. We're going to be putting together the
approximately.
Right. We're going to do a little Charles Manson for you guys.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited. We know he's not technically a serial killer, but it's going to be something similar to what Greg and I are doing here now. It's not going to be a game show episode. We just kind of want to look at it, especially now that he's fucking dead. Good riddance. But there's a lot there. We like to unpack the killers that we do here, and that's kind of always been my thing. It's not the gory details that I find fascinating. It's the people themselves and how they came to be or why they came to be. So the
motivations in the
everything, and there's so much of that in that story. So Greg and I are going to be trying to put that together. We're going to be together for that too. So it's going to be one of the first times we've ever recorded side by side. So
even like back to high school days,
right?
Man.
We used to record music, and that is done separately as well. So we've never really recorded side by side. Be kind of cool, man. I'm excited for it. So state of the show is that it's doing well. We love it.
Got big things gonna happen.
Right. I really quickly, I think I've given everybody a shout out, but I want to shout out everybody who has given to the Patreon. So I just pulled up my current list. Here's everyone. It is Athena, Aaron, Kim, Paul, Maura, Michelle, Kevin, Kristen, Michelle, with 2 Michelles. Hey. So we'll say Michelle L and Michelle H, Laura, Jules, JP, and Charlie. Actually, fuck you, Charlie. Just kidding. Yeah, all those people, thank you guys so much. You guys are the lifeblood of the show at this point. It doesn't make a ton of money. We'd like to make more. I don't know. You guys do that. But it makes money, and that's incredible to me that anybody has even decided to do that. So thank you, everybody who's given to the Patreon. That is the list of you. I love doing the show. I'd like to do it forever. I don't know if that's possible. There's not. I have a long list of serial killers, so I got a lot of episodes down. But we're trying to get to 1 million, like we say at the beginning of most episodes. Let's get to 1 million.
Yeah.
So appreciate everybody for that. Really quickly, I kind of wanted to. You probably saw it on Reddit, Greg, but it's that I have a missing person story. It's active missing persons. As far as I know, there's been no resolution. It's that missing CDC worker. His name's Timothy Jarrell Cunningham. He's been missing since February 12th. He is a CDC scientist. I want to say he is. Ooh, I suck. My notes don't even have it. He's a CDC scientist. Some details have come out that he may have been snubbed for a promotion, and it made him really upset. But essentially, February 12th, he talks to his sister, and he seemed upset, she said, but he didn't seem, overly upset. And that was the last time anybody talked to him. His parents got worried when he stopped responding to texts and calls, and they live up in Maryland, and they drove down to his spot in Atlanta, Georgia. And they got to his house. He found his car keys, credit cards, wallet, and phone at his house, as well as his dog was locked inside. His father, Terrell, said that his son graduated from Morehouse College and got his master's degree and doctorate from Harvard. He worked as an epidemic intelligence officer and has been deployed for public health emergencies. This guy's like the real deal. But his dad also said his son would never have left his dog in the house alone like that. So I don't know, foul play. I don't know if he just wanted to disappear. I don't know if it's suicide. It's just something that's happening right now. Yeah, I was going to say there's not really a bunch of theories. So
my theory is he got exposed to something. He got exposed to something that he was either a risk of spreading,
he was patient zero.
That made him a danger to himself and or other people. And so in turn, they quarantined him, but they can't talk about it because they're working on shit. See, there's some other shit that's going on. Like, that would lead me to believe that we're working on biological weaponry. And I mean, if you want, you can, you can reach out to me at Hella Greg on pretty much any platform, and we could talk more about this because this isn't a conspiracy show. But
maybe in the future we'll have a conspiracy show. I don't know.
Possibly.
Just get at Hella Greg. Maybe
so
push him towards
I got
doing
thoughts
a
on that,
conspiracy
though.
show. It's very fresh. It's very new. He went missing February 12th. It's March 2nd. So he's been missing.
So it hasn't been a 30-day containment yet.
So look at that. Look at that. So Greg's got his theories. I don't know why I wanted to point it out. It just seemed it's kind of a big-ish story.
Well, also, for what it's worth, if you have any information or you see this guy,
Right.
I mean,
contact the Atlanta Police Department.
Yeah, because maybe he is sick and needs help or
right.
something,
I mean, just like we were saying, his sister talked to him, said he seemed upset. He had been snubbed recently for a promotion that he felt. So, I mean, he's 35 years old. It could be some type of mental breakdown. It could be a lot of things. So if you do have any information, like Greg said, Timothy Jarrell Cunningham, 35 years old, last seen February 12th in Atlanta, Georgia, currently missing.
Throw a picture up or something.
Yeah, we will do that on the Insta. So yeah, that's the story I brought to the front here. Greg, you have two stories. One, again, are you gonna start with
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So this one, I'll let you introduce. I'd like to play the clip and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one's actually, I don't have a lot. I read an article about it and it made me sad, and just figured we could talk about the untimely demise of Phil Hartman.
Yeah. So Greg and I are Simpson files, I guess you might say. We have
Simpsonphiliacs.
Yeah, Simpson philiacs. we have absorbed the show. We're not saying that we're experts by any means, but we've watched a lot of the show, and most of our interactions revolve somewhere around Simpsons quotes. For the most part, Simpsons did it. South Park quote. So it was when he told me this story, it was kind of the same thing. I'm aware of the story, and maybe not all of the details, but I'm aware of most of it, and it made me sad. So, Phil Hartman was the voice of many Simpsons characters, but probably mine and Greg's unanimous favorite of those characters is Troy McClure. So what we found here is a video of every Troy McClure you may remember me from in order that they played on The Simpsons. So if you don't want to sit through this, because I get it, if you're not a Simpsons fan, most people who don't like it absolutely hate it. There's no middle ground, I understand. So this video is going to run for 2 minutes and 11 seconds from the time I hit play. You've got your skip buttons. You guys skip over it if you don't want. But here's some Phil Hartman as Troy McClure. Please enjoy.
With some laughing over the top.
Yeah, we won't be able to help it.
I'm Troy McClure. You may remember me from such movies as Cry Yuma and Here Comes the Coast Guard.
The Revenge of Abe Lincoln and the wackiest covered wagon in the West.
Buck Henderson, Union Buster. And Troy and Company's Summertime Smile Factory. Handle with care. Today we kill, tomorrow we die. And Gladys the Groovy Mule. Calling all Quakers. Lead paint, delicious but deadly. And here comes the metric system. Mothballing your battleship. And dig your own grave and save. The erotic adventures of Hercules. And Dial M for murderousness. Alice's adventures through the windshield glass. And the decapitation of Larry Leadfoot. P is for Psycho. And the president's neck is missing. Out with Gout 88 and let's save Tony Orlando's house. Smoke yourself thin and get confident, stupid. The boat jacking of Super Ship 79 and Hydro, the man with the hydraulic arms. 2 minus 3 equals negative fun. And Firecrackers, the silent killer. Alien Nose Job. And 5 fabulous weeks of the Chevy Chase Show. Designated drivers, the life-saving nerds. And phony tornado alarms reduce readiness. Andre the Giant, we hardly knew ye. And Shem Powered, today we mourn a stooge.
Meet Joe Blow and give my remains to Broadway.
The verdict was mail fraud and leper in the backfield.
Last night's dinner.
Locker room towel fight, the blinding of Larry Driscoll.
Make out King of Montana and the Electric Gigolo.
Christmas Ape and Christmas Ape goes to summer camp. Son of Sanford and Son. And After Mannix.
David versus Super Goliath and suddenly Last Supper.
Alice doesn't live anymore. And Mommy, what's wrong with that man's face? Welcome to Springfield Airport. And where's Nordstrom? Earwigs, ooh. And Man versus Nature, the road to victory.
All right.
Earwigs. Ew.
Just, again, to someone who's not a fan, I understand that probably drug on, and I hope you skipped it because I told you how long it was going to be. But to us, that was...
Cool. If you're not a fan, you're wrong, and that's okay.
Yeah. So Phil Hartman was a wonderful writer, comedian, voice actor. Greg, I'll let you take it away. Sorry.
Oh, right. Untimely demise of Phil Hartman. The year was 1998. Phil Hartman was approximately 50 years old. Well, he was 50 years old. He was born in 1948. He was murdered roughly 6:20 a.m. Nothing good happens after midnight.
Also, shouldn't feed your mogwai.
He was found in his bedroom in his boxer shorts and a t-shirt. His third wife was found on the bed in a 2-piece sleep set thing. Both gunshot wounds. There was like a report of arguing and yelling, and the police were called. So they show up. As they show up, Phil Hartman's oldest son, who was 9, comes running out of the front door of the house, and he's running towards the cops. They're like, what happened? Like he heard a gunshot. And so he's like telling them what happened. And he's like, my sister's still in there. And he's got a sister who's 6. So the cops are like, where's your sister? And he's like, down the hall on the right. They go in. As they're pulling the 6-year-old out, they hear a second gunshot. Basically, Bryn had killed Phil and then herself while the cops were in the house. And then the kids were carted off. But it was really sad that like the kids, one, had to be there for it,
Right.
and two, just hearing like or reading about all of, like the like friends and family and stuff like that who were just so jacked up over it. I mean, it's a fucked up situation. It's always sad,
Right.
but apparently, like this lady, this Bryn, she was quick to anger, from what a lot of the articles said, and Phil Hartman's lawyer, I can't remember this cat's name, but his lawyer said he was like, yeah, she would get angry, and sometimes Phil had to restrain her. Which to me, and again, this is just my personal opinion here because I am not a lawyer, but that to me sounds like legal speak for he had to put hands on her when she would get crazy, but it was self-defense.
Right.
So it seems like they had a pretty explosive relationship as it was.
Right. And you did say it was his third marriage. Nobody's perfect, damn it.
Yeah, and they well, and he was he, like his second wife, they remained friends. They just grew apart. It's not like they, he
was some abusive asshole that was left by all his wives.
Right.
Yeah, right.
They just grew apart, and he was like, okay. And so they stayed friends. And like she said, he would talk about how he and Bryn were trying to work it out, and how he would talk about the kids. Oh, I love the kids, and kids are great, and all that shit. So it was just really weird. And then like hearing from her friends, they said, she used anger to get attention.
Yeah.
Like, and he was had been working on the movie Small Soldiers. If you've seen Small Soldiers, the darker version of Toy Story.
Yeah.
It's that came out after he died, but he was in it. And so he had been working on that. And so I'm guessing shooting a movie and stuff like that, you're working crazy odd hours, especially when you're trying to get night shots and stuff like that. You're not home, you're gone for weeks at a time. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in a movie. Anybody who wants to put me in a movie, cool. Let me know.
Yeah, and I think some movies shoot for like months at a time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, depending on how big your part is in the movie.
Right.
Phil Hartman was never a leading man. He was always the wacky neighbor, like Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
The one who's trying to poke Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife.
Forgot about that.
I can't. Sam watches that every Christmas. But yeah, that was just a really sad story. And they said like she used anger to get attention. So if he's busy working all the time and she wants attention, the more attention she feels like she needs to get, the harder she feels like she needs to work for it, the more angry she's going to get, and the more over the top her reaction is going to be.
It's just a vicious cycle, it sounds.
Yeah, and that's just crazy and fucked up. And I may remember Phil Hartman from such classic roles as Troy McClure, Lionel Hutz, Saturday Night Live, Jingle All the Way, Toy Soldiers, News Radio.
News Radio is wonderful.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
But just R.I.P. Phil Hartman, man.
Yeah.
That was, and that's the 20th anniversary of him being murdered is coming up soon here.
Okay.
Today's March 2nd. It is May 25th.
So 2.5 months or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be the 20th anniversary of it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just sad, man.
Yeah, it's a sad story.
May 28th, 1998.
So it's one of those things where explosive relationship, a lot of these things come later, and Greg and I, like Greg was saying, we're not lawyers or experts, but if you're in a relationship like that, it's probably not worth it, you guys. Come on. Don't stay together for the kids. You need your health too. You also had another story, Greg. I'm actually really excited about this one. Yeah, and I probably know a lot less about this one, to be honest, of the two. So I'm excited to sit back and see what you got here. So, really quickly, Never mind.
Never mind what.
No, just go ahead. Let me write this down. I'm gonna edit here. So, Greg brought a second story. It's a well-known one, but I feel like I don't know it. And he said he got a little in depth to it, so I'm excited to see what. Well, I did. I'm not expecting a 3-hour special on it, but I'm excited to hear what you got in the quick time. So,
Yeah.
take it away. But before you do,
This one actually does tie in a little bit, just because there's an air of mystery. This is about James Riddle Hoffa, or Jimmy Hoffa, as people tend to know him. He was born February 14th, 1913, in Brazil, Indiana. No, Brazil, Indiana.
oh, I was like, really? I didn't.
Yeah, it is less than 3.5 square miles and has a population of less than 8,000 people currently.
Wow.
But Orville Redenbacher's from there, so,
There's 2 famous people from that little tiny town.
there was actually more. It just, none of them were fucking interesting.
You just really like popcorn.
Well, he was the coolest one. Anyway, Hoffa lived there until he was 7. His dad died, and his mom uprooted and moved to Detroit, the city of angels.
Yeah.
He stayed in and about the Windy City of Detroit until he until he disappeared.
Until he got into that Big Apple, Detroit.
The city of brotherly love. He stayed in and about Detroit until he disappeared. I say disappeared because we don't know when he died.
Or if he died. He could be 105 now.
Yeah, I was going to say he would be old. And I feel like that was counterintuitive to the lifestyle that he chose.
It's true.
He disappeared July 30th, 1975 at age 62. So
I remember the day.
Yeah. He quit school when he was 14. He started working manual labor jobs. This is important, so pay attention. For those of you that don't actually know anything about Jimbo, it's important that he was working a manual job at age 14. From what I gather, from what I read, there was no mention of mom working, so it seems like young James took it upon himself to be the man. When he hit like 22, 23, he happened to attend a rally for non-unionized laundry workers, which just sounds like a blast. I mean, like, if I'm going to be honest, going to a non-unionized laundry workers rally is exactly what I'd want to do in my spare time.
Just scab laundry workers.
Yeah. He met a young Polish lady named Josephine, and I'm not even gonna try and pronounce her last name.
Try.
No.
Come on.
I'll spell it though.
All right.
Poszywak.
It's probably like Mike Krzyzewski, and it's not.
Well, that's what I was
anything
thinking,
like,
and I was gonna just call her Josephine Krzyzewski, but I thought, nah, I better not. This is just a little background on him. They had a couple of kids. Barbara Crancer, who worked her way up, to be like an attorney or like an assistant attorney general or something crazy like that. She was like pretty high up in there. And James P. Hoffa Jr., who went on to become a union president. So he's doing big things as well. They bought a lakefront cottage in the Orion Township just north of Detroit, who boasts of pretty impressive town standouts like Chris Hot Wing Michaels, the syndicated radio show host.
Oh.
And the band Frontier Ruckus. And actually, I was like, who the fuck is Frontier Ruckus? So, excuse me. So I Googled them and fucking listened to like 2 hours of Frontier Ruckus while I wrote this.
Nice.
And yeah, dude, they're perfect for that. Like, remember Good Old War?
Yes.
They're like Good Old War with keyboards.
I will be listening to Frontier Ruckus.
Yeah, give Frontier Ruckus a check out.
And listen to Good Old War too while you're at it.
Yeah. But yeah, they were cool. It was just really good. They're an art folk band. So, I mean, anyway. back to Jimmy Hoffa. Basically, like I said, he started working when he was like 14. He was a teenager. He just got shit jobs. He got shit on for being a teenager. Like, he was paid low. The work conditions were unsafe and unsanitary. And basically he was like, as he's like putting up with this for a few years, now he's, 15, 17, 18, he's getting up there and he's like, this isn't cool, man. Like, we need to like do something about this. We need to say something. We need to stand up for us, and we deserve better. And so he started organizing the other workers who were dissatisfied with their surroundings and with what they had going. And he was like, look, we can make a difference. In 1932, he had a particularly abusive foreman, and it pushed Jimmy over the edge, and he was like, that's it. We're done. We're stopping. And he brought this grocery store that he worked in to a complete halt, and nobody was working until they struck a deal. And they ended up striking a deal, and Jimmy negotiated on behalf of them. They struck a deal. And after that, like, word kind of got out. They're like, hey man, this guy's got good ideas, and he's sticking up for the people. And plus they said he was approachable and young, so that was great because they wanted him to be the face of what they were trying to get done, And after the work stoppage, so they were like, hey, come join the local Teamsters 299 in Detroit. And so he did.
The city that never sleeps.
What's that?
The city that never sleeps.
That's right. He was invited to join the local 299 in Detroit and became a Teamster. And starting in 1933, and over the next roughly 20 years, Hoffa brought Teamsters together. He basically organized unions, brought unions together, like the Simpsons joke, where like the teachers went on strike. Again, back to the Simpsons, when the teachers went on strike, and the local piano tuners were on strike too.
Yeah.
That's a Jimmy Hoffa move. It's called a secondary strike. Or what is it? Secondary boycott is what it's called. And it's where they get multiple people across similar lines of work to stop production all at once. So like in that case, it'd be a piano teacher or piano tuner and a teacher. And there was like a sympathy strike.
Right.
And
well, I heard the teachers are going to fold faster than Superman on Laundry Day, Purple Monkey dishwasher.
Skinner's going to pay for that, especially that Purple Monkey dishwasher comment. But yeah, that was great. And they were like, this guy's young, he's charismatic, he's approachable.
And he's got these like new unheard of plans, these strikes across different.
Right.
Yeah.
So he basically in 3 years, from 1933 to 1936, the numbers went from 75,000 union members to approximately 170,000 union members. By 1939, they were over 420,000 union members.
Wow.
And after World War II finished and they had all the young men coming home, they were well up over 1 million.
Jimmy's like the face of it. He's kind of spearheading it all.
Well, he was the one bringing everybody together. He's the one who's like truck drivers and iron workers and ambulance drivers and freight yard guys and warehouse workers all need to be together. And he would like get everybody together. He'd be like, we can work out a unified deal where we get standards of living and we get this and we get that. And that is guaranteed. But in order for that to be guaranteed, you got to pay your union dues. Don't forget about your union dues. And you can't do anything unless the union says you can do something. Right. And there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it. But he would basically, he got the truckers and the warehouse guys first. And he was like, okay, now that we've got the truckers, we control the movement of stuff. And then we get the warehouse guys. So nothing's going to get put on the trucks and the trucks can't go anywhere and the trucks aren't going to want to go anywhere. So he was basically kind of getting a stranglehold on the whole situation from a very young age. From
He understood
very
how it
early.
worked, and he was manipulating it very well.
Yeah, and in that time period, Hoffa he got control of the truckers union. He had to make deals with the mob because the mob owned a lot of the trucker unions or were tied in tight with a lot of the trucker unions in that area at that time. So he had to like go in there and make those deals and be like, look, I need you to guarantee your guys this because this is what we're trying to accomplish. And we've got other unions that are coming in, they're fucking raiding us and they're doing all this crazy shit. And the mob was like, okay, you guarantee our guys don't get messed with for breaking any stupid laws, and we'll keep an eye out for you. And so now Hoffa's tied in with the mob. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was mostly just a business decision, but it became more than that. It was mutually beneficial. And so he's bringing these guys together. He's also defending the Teamsters from raids from other unions, which is just weird. In my notes, it says, so while he's bringing these guys together, he's also, quote, defending the Teamsters from raids by other unions, end quote. Shortly after December 1946, he became the president of the local 299 Truckers Union in Detroit, Sin City. Even though he was never actually a trucker. They liked his ideas and they were like, yeah, man, like you're the fucking man. We want you up there making the decisions. In fact, he used his union skills to get a deferment from the draft in World War II. He said his union skills would better serve the nation by keeping the freight running to help the war effort. And then in my notes, it says, in 1952, he was selected to be the vice president of the IBT, which is the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. 6 years later, became the president. He was the president from late 1957, early 1958 until 1971. But he rustled Jimmy. In my notes, I'm clever. In my notes, it says Jimmy rustled some Jimmies when he pissed off the larger union organization that they were a part of. Basically, being the Teamsters and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, they were beholden to a larger union. Basically, they were a small cog in a machine, and he pissed off the big guns. And this guy's name is George Meany.
Perfect.
Yeah. Basically, Meany kept calling him out and was like, you're doing this all wrong. You've got to go. You've got to fucking go. And basically told him that he gave like some emotional speech against the IBT because of the way they were doing stuff. And Hoffa was the president. And Meany demanded a response from Hoffa. And Hoffa used the local newspapers for his response, and all it said was, "We'll see."
Badass, huh?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, you're tied in with the fucking mob. Where are you gonna go?
That's true.
Nowhere. You're going fucking nowhere.
What are you, Brett? Unless you cross the mob.
Well, right. So, in 1961, Hoffa does the impossible. He brought all the union truck drivers in the United States together under one group. So they were all one union.
Is it still that way?
What's that?
Is it still that way?
I don't think so. And there's a lot of independent truck drivers and a lot of companies that
I see.
But basically, he at this point he had all the union. I mean, because that wasn't every truck driver. It was just all the union drivers.
Right, but all of the union drivers in the United States were all banned as one.
Right.
Man.
So that whole stranglehold on the backbone of the transportation of stuff,
right,
is all right there. Basically, he tried to get like airline personnel and stuff like that. He was really trying to like get everybody together.
Before we even get much farther into this, I didn't know any of this shit.
Yeah, dude, I told you I did my homework. I started reading and I was like, yo, dude, this guy's
Actually pretty
I mean,
interesting.
like he's got some good ideas. He's got some shit that I don't personally agree with, but he's got some shit that I do personally agree with. And like I was just curious. Like I just kept reading, and I was like reading and typing and reading and typing, and I was like, man, this guy's fucking Hoffa, man. Like Hoffa did some shit. So while he was bringing all the truck drivers together, he was facing immense personal strain. He was basically under investigation and on trial, launching appeals of convictions and imprisoned for virtually all of the 60s. Bobby Kennedy, when Kennedy got elected in 60, he named Robert Kennedy the attorney general, and Bobby Kennedy had a quote, "Get Hoffa Squad," end quote, which is a dumb fucking name. That's just the worst. Like, why didn't you just call it Operation We're Gonna Go Get the Bad Guy?
But is it worse than the Central Indiana Multi-Agency Investigative Team?
It's not even smart enough to have that many words. The Get Hoffa Squad. I don't know. Go ahead and name him something poochy, but less derivative. In 1964, Hoffa was convicted in Chattanooga, Tennessee, of attempted bribery of a grand juror and was sentenced to 8 years.
So, Poochie?
Yeah. He was implicated by one of his close associates, Edward Grady Parton, a Louisiana Teamster who went to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, with the information that led to Hoffa's conviction. So he's basically the guy that dropped the dime on Hoffa.
I see.
Yeah. Hoffa was also convicted of fraud later that same year for improper use of the Teamsters pension fund in a trial held in Chicago. Hoffa had illegally arranged several large pension fund loans and lended them to organized crime figures, and they were figuring that out. And they were like, hey, wait a second. Why are you taking loans against your Teamsters pension funds? What if these guys want to retire? That money's not there. And he's like, well, it's got to be paid back. And they're like, how do you know? And he's like, because the mob wouldn't lie. Wait a second. Nah, I doubt Hoffa was that dumb, but he did, make deals with the mob and was lending them money based off his Teamsters pension funds, which they're constantly paying dues into. Basically, he got a 5-year sentence run, and it ran consecutively with his bribery. So
he got himself into a little white-collar trouble.
Yeah. On December 23rd, 1971, less than 5 years into his 13-year sentence, Hoffa was released from prison when President Tricky Dick Nixon commuted his sentence to time served following his release. Hoffa was awarded a Teamsters pension of $1.7 million, delivered in a one-time lump sum payment. So this type of pension settlement had not occurred before with the Teamsters. They'd never done anything like that before. I mean, they'd paid people out, and they'd done their, people who'd paid in, got their money's worth and all that. But they'd never done anything quite on this scale before.
Like they gave him way more than he was due.
Yeah, especially because he was gambling with their money, with the mob. Because you think if you go to prison, the mob's going to be like, we should pay this guy back.
Right, exactly. They didn't get that money back.
It's the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. Where did I leave off? Make that timestamp note.
Gotcha.
Here we go. One of the conditions of Hoffa's release was that he couldn't be involved in union activities until 1980. So they were like, you can't make deals. You can't give your input. You're not allowed to go to meetings. You're not allowed. You're not allowed. You're not welcome. Only thing is, nobody ever really knew if it was the attorney general who did that, or if it was Nixon as part of his thing, or if it was the IBT who did it. Nobody knows who imposed these sanctions on Jimmy, but
just that they were there.
But Jimmy no like.
Yeah.
Jimmy was mad. He couldn't be a Teamster, so he wrote his second book in 3 years and published it shortly after he disappeared. It was published shortly after he disappeared. And it was like, I mean, it was just like an autobiography. It was called like something stupid like Jimmy, the Real Story or something like that.
Okay.
As far as his disappearance goes, he disappeared sometime after 2:45 p.m. on July 30th, 1975. He was at the Red Fox restaurant in the Bloomsfield Township, a suburb of Detroit, the Show Me State. He had others. He was
The Big Easy.
He was allegedly going there to meet with two mafia leaders, Anthony Giacolone and Anthony Provenzano.
Oh.
So the law firm of Anthony and Anthony. Tony and Tony, what can we do for you, pal?
I'm walking here.
Provenzano was also a Teamster leader in New Jersey and had earlier been close to Hoffa. And he was a national vice president with the IBT from 1961, which was Hoffa's second term as the president. Hoffa got to the restaurant around 2, was there for probably about half an hour. And then he called home, told his wife he was going to wait a few more minutes. And that was kind of it. Truck driver says he saw Hoffa in the backseat of a car that almost hit his truck as it left the restaurant parking lot. He also saw a long object covered with a gray blanket on the seat between Hoffa and another passenger. So
What's
3
this
people in the
long
car,
object?
something long covered with a gray blanket between the two of them in the car.
A gun?
As it speeds out of a parking lot. That night, Hoffa's wife reports him missing. The police found his car at the restaurant, unlocked, but there was no indication of what happened to him. Years of extensive investigation involving numerous law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, came to no conclusion. Giacolone and Provenzano, who denied having scheduled a meeting with Hoffa, were found to not have been near the restaurant that afternoon. So, hey, it wasn't me. Whoa, hey, yo.
The mob can make an alibi.
Yeah. Hoffa was declared legally dead on July 30th, 1982, but the case continues to be the subject of rumor and speculation. So,
It's like one of those now. It's an urban legend, like where's Hoffa's body? Was he buried in the construction of Yankee Stadium? It's like all that.
My favorite is allegedly under the G in Giant Stadium.
That's what it was. But the Mythbusters went out there and did the X-ray. Yeah.
What you didn't see was Anthony Provenzano and Anthony Giacolone off screen with their guns pointed at them.
Going,
you didn't find nothing.
You didn't see anything.
Exactly. You didn't find nothing.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting tale. Thanks, man. That was fucking cool. I knew none of that background story at all, really.
Yeah, well, that's what got him. That's what made him such a polarizing dude. Was that he was like, it's all about the people, man. You need to realize that the people deserve something to live on, and we need to be treated like people. We're not fucking slaves, man. And the people were like, yeah. And they were like, put him up on our shoulders. And once he was up there, he was like, fuck you, pay me. And they were like, wait, what? And he was like, no. This is watch. Pay me, and we're all going to get paid. And they're like, yeah. And he was like,
Idiots.
Sure, that worked. So
yeah.
It seemed like kind of like a con man, but not quite like a con man.
I think I thought he was a little more mob heavy than he was.
Well,
loosely
I mean, what do you
connected.
think? His fucking Wikipedia page isn't going to be like, yo, this dude was tied in.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's like, I mean,
This is
like
implied.
I said, I tried to kind of make hints, with the whole protection from other
right.
unions.
It would be ashamed if somebody did this.
Well, yeah, I mean, is it a summer camp? Do they just run into each other's warehouse and tip the boxes over and then run? I mean, what are you fucking raiding?
Camp Refugi rules.
Yeah, you're not the goddamn cops. What are you coming in? You tipping stuff over and then you leave.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure he paid some big Italian men to stand out front and whack anybody that got near that wasn't authorized.
Just got to hold it down.
Here's a list of faces of everybody who works here. If this guy's face isn't on there, beat him up. Hi, I'm the new guy. Yeah, I heard that before.
Well, thanks for bringing the stories, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody, that we really did approach this a couple times this week. There were just some technical difficulties. It's nothing huge. It was in trying to get some other guests on the show. So it's actually nothing on our end. We'll have our episodes that we have scheduled for next week. They're all going to happen. We just had a little mishap. So Greg and I wanted to get together tonight. So if you're listening to this Friday night, Greg and I had just finished recording this. So
it is 10:13 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And I imagine I'll have this episode up by 11. Like it's going to be to the wire. Anyway.
No edits.
No edits. Just throw it up.
No edit. If we said it in the beginning, no edits.
All right. So the 2 edits that I have marked, I will not take out.
The part where I'm like, yo, take this out of there.
Yep. I want to leave it in. So
you guys are getting the thick and veiny of it, the nitty gritty.
Gross. Why'd you lead with thick and veiny? So, well, again, I know this episode wasn't exactly what all the episodes are, but I hope you enjoyed just kind of hanging out with Greg and I. That was really what I wanted to do. Was we never get to do this. It's always kind of business, so it's just fun to kind of sit and hang with Greg, and hopefully it felt like you were here hanging with us too.
Yeah.
There wasn't a game show this time, but
wait,
next week.
First person to get at us on Twitter gets, I don't know, what do I have laying around here? I mean, let me go to the prize vault.
How about we'll figure out the prize? But yeah. First person that hears this, and let's see. First
10:14 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Get at us with your timestamp when you heard it.
Get it with the timestamp. So you can reach out to us in many ways besides the Twitter, which is at Chillers Podcast. The Facebook is Serial Chillers Podcast. There's also a Facebook group. I swear to Satan that I'm going to get that rolling. People have been joining. I appreciate it. Thank you guys all for kind of keeping that going amongst each other, but I'm going to start getting some posts in there. So it's happening. Instagram is at Serial Chillers Podcast. You can email the show, serialchillerspodcast@gmail.com. Call or text the line 1-805-666-2513. All the merch you could possibly want is on serialchillerspodcast.threadless.com and updated every week now. I'm even going to throw up all the sources and bullshit that we put together for this show. serialchillerspodcast.com. So check it out. The biggest one to us is the Patreon. We talked about it a little bit at the top of the show, the people who've given. There are some people that have given and gone away, and some people that have talked about it and maybe not. And again, we appreciate everybody that has. We appreciate everybody that is going to. We appreciate everybody who's even thought of it. So at this point, patreon.com/serialchillerspodcast. You can give as little as $1 a month. But if you've listened to the show, you've heard us say, and I don't want to make it sound like we're begging for money. We're not. The show's, it's here, Think
of it as a high five to a runner as they're running by.
And you only have to do it once a month for $1. So, yeah, the show is the show. You guys hear it. You guys have reached out. The people who have told us it's great, we appreciate that more than you know. The people who have told us it fucking sucks, we know. It's
also suck it.
Yeah, also suck it. But I don't know. I've had a good time doing it, and we're gonna keep doing it. So that's just the thick and veiny of it.
Yes. I hope that catches on. More people say that.
I hope it just dies right there.
I hope you're the last person that ever says it.
But who knows? So let me see. I guess that's really it, man. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Thanks for, sticking in here for the state of the show. Greg and I wanted to make sure you had something for the weekend. Hope you guys listened to this and hope you enjoyed the stories. Anything else you want to throw out before we finish it up here, co-host Greg?
10:17 p.m.
That's it. Just that's your.
And at Hella Greg.
So yeah, shoot it to us at Chillers Podcast and at Hella Greg. That's how you're gonna win the timestamp contest. So
You get
yeah,
stuff
man.
sent back to you.
thanks for jumping on here with me and getting this done all short notice tonight. We're gonna get the people who we're gonna have on very soon, and we'll have Shy back for the next episode. People are gonna enjoy that.
Bring back Shy.
Hashtag bring back Shy. Bigfoot will be back sooner than later, and we have some special guests coming up from another podcast. So that one we're really excited about too. We're gonna hash out some details pretty quick here, and we'll keep you guys in the loop on that. So from me and Greg, don't talk to strangers.
Let's go play video games.